Hey everyone, this is Faisal. Welcome to Soft Reboot.
Hello, Faisal. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ishtiyaq?
Good, good. Long time.
Yeah, it
We
has
have
been
been
quite some time.
yeah. we have been thinking about connecting and doing all these things with you and sharing with the wider audience. So I think this is a good time. We start. And so for everyone, I'm Ishtiyaq. Welcome to our Soft Reboot podcast series. This is our first episode, and let's get a kickstart.
Yeah, thanks, Ishtiyaq. It has been sitting in our heads for quite some time, like you said, right? And we never hit the record in last, couple of months. Here we are. We are recording our very first episode. Look, we are not any celebrities. We are an expert in certain areas, in our own fields. Yeah. But we are just two friends who would like to have a conversation, a real conversation, like open conversation about life, about our experience, about what I've been doing starting the age of 15 when we first time met, and some of the experiences that we have gained over the past almost 30 years now. Yeah, we met last time.
Yeah, it's almost 30 years now.
Yeah, and we will bring in other guests as well in our next episodes. But yeah, that's something that we will be focusing on in this episode, right?
Yeah, finally, I think this podcast has been sitting with us for long. So, as you rightly said, what I think is that this just want to inform everyone who is going to be part of this and listening to us. I think this is going to be a space where we talk about life, talk about our experiences. We will be talking about friendships, dreams, what we did. There's a wider, in terms of, like, let's say, overview about what all things are happening in our life. So I think that's what I just wanted to just highlight, that what is this all about. And as you rightly said, that we have been together as friends, and obviously we had other common friends, and we had a different set of then colleagues, like the professional colleagues, or the new friends which became over a period of time. So it's a very good opportunity for all of us to reconnect, stop a bit, reboot ourselves, and just recollect those memories, to memoir all those kind of things. And it was a very different time when we met, as you rightly said, way back in 92, 93. And it has been so much of time, but we still think that we have just met some few years ago only. But yeah, it has been a long time, and obviously very nice. And uh, like, there's a lot to share and a lot to be proud upon, like what all times we have spent together.
That's right. Like you said, we met like 30 years back, 1992, 93, when we were both in school.
Yeah,
And it was a very different time
yeah,
back then.
true.
There was no internet, no phones, we just met probably, I believe, somewhere when we were traveling for some tuitions, and we clicked, and then we keep on meeting each other. We spent a lot of time then while we were going for some classes or schools. After that, playing cricket, or just staying talking around, right? So it's a very different time compared to these days, how kids meet and what they do. Tell me more about your experience. What do you think the time was then, and how do you relate that to time now?
Yeah, I think we would talk about everything whenever we will meet. Like, we started communicating, first of all, as you rightly said, we met during our tuition times. I think we had common friends, and uh, then that it clicked of the same frequency, or the same vibrations, where I want to go ahead and discuss with him, and I can share with him the joys. Or over a period of time, the bond started growing organically. And uh, what I can say is that we'll talk about everything, like be it schools, teachers, or you can imagine, like, what all uh, discussions we had. And we'll talk about the situation around us. We talk about the studies which we are going to do. We would have talk about what kind of dreams we'll have. We'll do this, we'll do that, and all those kind of things. Because back then it was not times like we have to these days. There was no much information available, no much globalization has happened at that time. So it was still the Far East area of, especially in India. Also, we were towards the extreme northern side of India, and obviously, the access to information was not that much, no infrastructure, and then the environmental conditions we had grown up and during those days were also tough times. But I think the bond which helped us stick together, that was the thing, and that was the time where we got out of that tumultuous situation finally.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I remember a couple of weeks back when we spoke about this, you were talking about that three different eras of our time, right? Pre-internet, internet age, and the post-internet. Now we are in a
True.
very different world of AI and digital and so on, right? And it was a different world when we met. It was pre-internet kind of world, and hardly people had landline phones. All that we knew about was that we meet somewhere, physically,
Yeah.
and we play outside. There was no concept of staying home and having gadgets at our fingertips and playing. Right? It's all about going out and doing whatever we do outside. Be it a cricket or football or anything else like that. Right? And the communication, though, was not as readily available as we have today, but we kept always connected somehow, right? If we talk to the kids of this generation and tell them that there was no concept of internet and phone and all the stuff and WhatsApp and all of the communication medias, I don't know if they will relate that. How do we connect? How do people keep track of each other, right? So
Yeah.
very different thing, that how we used to connect and keep track of each other compared to these days kids, where they are always on their fingertips.
Obviously, that I think we had the luxury of claiming that we are the pre-internet era generation, which has seen the transitions during our school days to college days to then the professional life. We have seen multiple transformations happening. Like as you rightly said, there was no internet in our school or college days. There was no mobiles, no phones even. Like we had I
Yeah.
think the landline phones were also very scarce in that time also. So we had very little means of communication. The good thing was that we would use different means of communication. If you, as you rightly said, we would plan upfront. We will meet and we'll say, okay, next day at this time, this
This
place we'll
place.
meet. So that kind of pre-planning, remembering things, remembering those numbers, phone numbers, everything. That there's no such kind of a thing like we have a digital. There was no digital world at that time. So I think if we talk about someone today in the current generation, which is I can say Gen Z right now, so I would say that they will not relate to that, obviously, because they have not seen that. It's not their fault, but yes, it is something as an experience which I think we should be explaining them, because I believe that whatever they are seeing today will not be the same thing for the next generation coming up after them, because there are going to be obviously
Yeah.
transformations happening in the society as in different multiple worlds. Now that we have got the AI boom coming up, and you can see all those kind of behavioral societal changes happening, adoption of multiple different ways and mechanisms, social media's penetration since last so many years is actually shaping and regenerating a new way of thought process thinking. Whether it's good or bad, that's a different debate altogether. But yes, it's a truth in the society. So yeah, I think that was a very interesting times. Like we used to the conditions were also not that good. Like we are from Kashmir, so at that time the political situation was also not that conducive for us to take advantage of, let's say, late night parties or late night get-togethers. We used to, if we had to do a get-together or a meeting, we had to either go to some restaurant or go to some or the college mostly, or the schools. They
Yeah.
were the meeting points. There was no other option in terms of, let's say, not much restaurants were in the valley. We had a very concentrated place in the central city where everything was there only. If you had to go, there's a restaurant there only. You don't have anywhere else to go. If you have to meet someone, then obviously there's no other place to go. So we would use to go to each other's home also. That was the only option. So that bonding was, I think, that was a personal bond which was very important, which kept that relation going. And that is, I think, a differentiator which I can see from today's world and the world where we have come from. Obviously we have also transformed a bit over time, because we have also uh, adopt these conditions. Otherwise, it's not that easy to sustain or be in the society with the other generations. So that generation shift we had adopted, and then obviously, if you see that the 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 kind of staff, or we can say the teachers we had, the kind of friends, the extended friends we had, and the kind of the diversified society we were living in, the respect of elders was different, the kind of communication with elders was different. That's a different era, not today's era. Like, we have in today's world, we have got everything. Anyone can like give you like uh, directly address you with your first name. It was treated as a bad omen at that day, and no one will accept you. You were treated as an outcast in the society. So, those kind of small examples. But today, it's treated as a modern communication
Wow.
style, and it's very important that people like we should do that. I think those small things, yeah, we had transformed. Yes, ourselves also. I can't say that we are the same at this stage what we were at that time, but yes, the bond is still there, which keeps us going, and I think that was very important. So what exactly do you think, like, why did this friendship made us stick together? What was that key element, or I can say the ingredient, from your perspective?
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, look, we always were connected, right? In a different way, not like we are today connected. We're also connected today, but those days the connection, like you said, was very different. We need to remember that, oh, we are going to meet next Thursday 4 p.m. at this place. That part of connection was different. And it was that period of time, right? We meet for hour or 1.5 or 2 hours, whatever time it is, and that's it. Then we meet probably another 3 days after or 4 days after, and there was no communication in between for that time period. Compared today, right? Today, it's not the case. It's every second, 10 minutes, half an hour, you can just say hi and hello. But what I believe is we always had a genuine care, respect about each other, right? And we always care for each other, who we are as a person, genuinely, right? We make sure that we have that understanding. We understand each other's. We understand each other's. Um, we understand each other's feelings, emotions, and try to make sure that we have that relationship where we can say that whosoever you are as a person,
Mhm.
we accepted each other, not between you and me. I think within our group of friends and the broader friend communities, we always respected each other. And that's the key, I believe, is that having that genuine respect and understanding of each other is a very important aspect of being connected. And that makes something we continued strong bond, strong relationship, because we genuinely cared for each other. Even though we were not close, even though we were not talking to every day, we probably sometimes didn't meet for months, but there was always that kind of an care and attachment and thought which was going on that always has a genuine care. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about, as we was just introduced, is this is an introductory communication or
Yeah.
conversation we have started. We will talk about all those kind of experiences. We'll share with others. We'll try to bring those all those characters, or the achievers who have been there, who have shaped us, our bonds, our friendships, our professional lives. We'll try to bring all those kind of people inside our podcast series to share their thoughts and understanding how things have changed, and we can discuss that freely.
Yeah.
But before that, I just wanted to understand what exactly has triggered us this about this podcast. Like, is there any something, one thing you can talk from your experiences? Like, why did you feel that there is a need for us to do this podcast series?
Now, look, I mean, I was thinking when we had a first time chat about starting a podcast, I think it was more than a 6 months plus, right? When we met in Delhi at
Sure.
your place. And then from there, I was thinking about it. And there are so many podcasts, there are so many discussions available online, right? Go to any platform, there are so many people talking about different topics. And what are we going to talk about? Of course, there are certain aspects that we are expert in our field. Probably we can talk about that because we know that subject very well. But beyond that, what exactly is there? I think then what I think is it's not just about any specialized topic. It's not about telling do this thing this way and that thing this way and this is going to work. Yeah, in certain cases, like I said, if we are specialized in certain areas, we can give our opinion and suggestions based on our experience that we had over the past so many years. Yeah, but I think this podcast, I believe, is more than that. It's about us being more human, right? What does it mean to be a human? What does it mean to be a genuine person, a real person? Not a person on internet who you have never met and you've been talking to him and you don't know who he is. He's a male, female, or whoever he is, right? So many cases that you have nowadays. Also, I mean, when you post something through a social media, you always have tendency to go back and see how many people liked it, how many people commented on it, and how many people shared it. Do I
Sure.
get more likes or less likes? So you're feeling attached to those likes and those comments, right? And you don't know those people who actually do it, right? And you may know hardly 2-3% people you
Yeah,
know.
more of a clickbait approach. Like
Yeah,
they're more
exactly.
like looking for clicks rather than.
You look acknowledgement outside. You look that, oh, people acknowledge what I am doing, what I am wearing, where I am going, what I am eating, and all that stuff. But that's not real thing. When we meet face to face, we sit in some place, let's say restaurant. We don't we don't normally say, hey, your food is good, my food is good, take a picture and all that stuff. Nowadays, people do take picture and post it, but
Before
generally,
they even have it, they
I
will
mean,
take
you,
a
you
picture.
can post
Yeah,
it, and
post it and then have it. Yeah.
exactly. Post it first, make sure it's nice looking, and then have it. But that was not the case before. I mean, we never used to do that, and it was never in the imagination that you will do something like this. But but you are looking at um, outside acknowledgement for this.
I think this is a very good point in terms of when you talk about the experiences, which I was saying that was the whole purpose of this podcast to share the experiences, and we being part of that three different eras currently, and in the third different era for us. But uh, this is a very good example, which you said that the kind of focus on more from the physicality of the things in terms of how does the food look like, how do I look like we have been to so many parties, we have been to so many functions, festivals, we had enjoyed so many festivals, we never had this kind of understanding or in terms of the requirements, I can say, or the thought process that before. I think that is where we differentiate from that kind of generations. I think that still is continuing in somewhere inherently inside us, and making us different from the current generation. And that is that there will be that conflict. We'll talk about that also. Those conflicts of thought processes and all the stuff. And I think it will be a very interesting conversation. I hope to like that we will get a lot of those examples we might have faced and seen now and then, and do some kind of comparative analysis also to understand a little bit deeper inside those conversations. So second thing about I just wanted to ask about is that the era was too much of tumultuous politically, as I earlier just give a small glimpse of it. How did you see the era at that particular point of time, and what is that you think which helped us to survive, or you can say swim that dynamic challenging era?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll come back to your question, but I wanted to close off saying that
Yeah.
why this podcast, right? So this podcast, I said little things about it, but what I believe is we're going to talk about the real people, real things, real experiences, and we're going to bring people who will be expert in certain areas, and we may talk about their expertise and their experiences, but we will more talk about them being human, where they grown up, what they have seen, and what's their experience being as a person, as a human, as a father, as a mother, in a society, and how they relate themselves from then, pre-internet, post-internet, and now an era, right? And that's something which is a real conversation we want to have, a real experience that we want to have with between ourselves and the guests that we are going to bring in our podcast. Look,
Mm.
coming back to your question on the conditions that we had where we have grown up. Yeah, we grown up in Kashmir, and especially at that point in time when we were studying somewhere around 1993, 94, 95 period. It was an area. It was an era of conflict. It was an era of fear. It was an era of very
Disturbed
tense
situation.
situations, right?
Yeah.
But one thing I believe is we always had a kind of hope in that situation as well. We always had a positive attitude towards what we were doing. Though we have seen days and months that we staying home and not going to school because of some condition here and there happening, right, in our places. And there was those curfews and hartals and all the stuff. But that does not deter us saying that, hey, that's the end of the world, right? And now we're not going to do anything. We always keep on thinking about how we are going to move forward, what we are going to do with our lives. Maybe we did not have that broader vision that we have today. Of course, is the experience that you gain over the period of time in your life. But we at least had some kind of thought process going on in our brains that we wanted to do something better. We wanted to, do. We wanted to uh, come out of this situation and develop ourselves to be a good human, good person, good uh, become a good parent, and also become a good son and a daughter and all the stuff. That was something we always has between us and the people that we know. We had the positive attitude and positive energy, and that we always also sometimes give each other, right? If it was low, we try to give that energy to others and make sure that, hey, come on, let's do this, let's do that, right? And we moved on.
Yeah, I think I agree on that, and the kind of conditions we had been into. You can see that there were challenges at every step, as you rightly said. Like, even if we had to go to school, or we had to go to tuition, or we had to visit a friend, we were bound between that time zone of 9 to 5,
Right.
first of all. Then we had long nights for us to ponder upon and discuss upon things. That gave a lot of leeway time for us also to like as I can say, me time during those times. Because these days, uh, if you see around you, you have very less time, and over a period of time, you can say we used to sleep around early at 8:30, 9 p.m. max. Today, the average sleep time has moved by 2 to 3 hours, which is 11:30 in the night, and that is again changed that biological cycle. And then globalization impacts and the social media availability, information availability. You have so much of information, but the direction is not there. You want to consume a lot of data, information. It was not at that time. There were maximum, like, you have books, you had the school, what our school is teaching you, the studies, or you have a tuition, a teacher. You are engaged in those kind of activities, and then you have physical games. You can play cricket, you can go out and have that, but that was limited because those avenues during that tumultuous time were actually curtailed a bit in terms of by those conditions. But those challenging times would have changed our life towards bad or good. So I think the bonding which we are talking about here is that close bond which we had helped us remain steadfast on that line and take a very positive approach towards grooming ourselves to a very purposeful life rather than going towards the negativity of that era. And I think every one of us should be proud of swimming through that era, and getting out without any kind of like those negativities aligned to us, and then putting ourselves into the focused mind share or focused approach, saying that we need to do something in terms of ourselves as or in terms of families, relationships. So that's only possible if we keep ourselves going with a positive mindset. And I think it's not me, it's like individually I can think of it. It was an experience over a period of time during that era which trained us all by having those small conversations about what's happening around us, what should we do, dreaming big, and keeping us focused each other, because we were regularly checking each other. What are you doing now? What are you doing tomorrow? What's happening in your life? So that is one thing which I think was one of the important aspects we traveled through that era without any kind of problematic situations.
That's right, and maybe that's a spirit that we want in this podcast, right? No matter how tough things are, people still,
True.
smile. They take care. They tell stories. They genuinely try to understand each other and try to help. Right? That's
So,
something probably we want to bring in this podcast as well. And I think it's also important, when we look into that different eras that we moved on from the pre-internet to the post-internet era, right? Even
mm,
in the post-internet era, it was maximum about going to some probably an internet parlor,
mm.
checking an email, creating an email account, and sending somebody email. It was exciting too if you receive an email. You if you somebody sends you an email, you get very excited.
Yeah, go to and then we used to discuss it. Did you get that
Yeah,
email? Yeah, what was the response? And even I think if we go back to our mailboxes during those times, we would have some of those long conversations.
yeah.
I remember that dial-up connectivity, which we got after some time, and we used to do that. Whatever things we had to do from the professional perspective, also in the initial days, we used to do it at the late night when the internet connection was bit of the
I-
bandwidth sharing was free. So that those kind of experiences we'll did talk in
So
detail.
maybe I want you to probably explain the audience, the viewers, those who have not seen that era. How
Yeah.
was it when you used to connect internet? There's a process, right, to connect
Mm.
internet. Nowadays, people won't know that at all. There was something that when you are sitting at a computer, there was no laptops, there was a
Yeah.
PC, and then you need to connect to internet. So can you just walk me through that the few
So
steps?
this was an interesting conversation. Yeah, recently I think last week only I saw one news from the AT&T that they are now going out with that process of dial-up, that connectivity. So
Yeah,
it used to be a very naive way of, like, if you look at the generation today, they just have the gadget, they just put in the smartphone
by
or
default connected to internet.
they are by default connected to the internet. You're right. So it was not that easy for us. So first and foremost, we had to find out uh, a particular service provider. In that
ISP, yeah,
case,
because ISP
it
internet
was
service.
only an internet service provider for us was
Yeah,
BSNL in our area,
yeah,
in the place we were living, because
yeah,
there, due to the conditions, as I said, there was no private player
yeah,
available over there. So, and those resources were limited also. Like, you cannot have a high bandwidth. It
yeah,
was not available also, like in
yeah.
terms of the overall
Technology was
infrastructure.
not that advanced.
We were not in that advanced era. It was a pre 3G and 4G, I can say,
Yeah,
era. 2G, even 2G was not there in our area
not.
because
No.
there was no mobility at that time. I'm talking just pre on the internet side of it. The
Yeah.
internet was kind of a, I can say, pain to first of all get connected, because you have a particular line. Let's say it was a internet over the telephony
Yeah.
line. So
You need to have a telephone, right, to connect.
you need to have a base telephone line, and that telephone line was connected with the exchange server, and,
Yeah.
and the exchange on the other side of the telephone exchange, and that was connected to the central exchange, and that's how the it goes to the grand trunk of that whatever they use. There was no fiber channels also at that time that
No.
you'll have high speed internet. It was all on those PNT regular telephone lines which we had. So one of the interesting episodes is that when you have, let's say, for example, you have to deploy a single web page. We started our work during initial days, and when uh, we had to upload a small web page also. It used to take, like, it was just a 20 kbps or 18 kbps of internet connection. When if you connect, if you are lucky that you get that free time during after having an phone baseline connection, and then lucky that you have a soft dial-up adapter on your phone, in your Microsoft Windows software, where you just keep on connecting that IP and on a particular ports and keep on dialing.
It was not. It was not like you dial one time and you get connected, right?
Yeah, it
So you
was a
need
regular.
multiple times until you get connected because traffic was
Yeah,
there.
I think we have spent so much of time, you, me, and Suhail, and for that matter, he was one of our other friends. So I don't know how much time we must have spent on those dial-up connections every time. And the other thing was, because the place we live in is also having an adverse weather, including winters. So the telephone lines are, if it snows, telephone lines are cut, and you are gone for at least a month or so, unless and until someone comes and redoes that connection. So what you'll do in that time is you will go to your friend's house. That was where this conversation into that internet era started. That okay, now we are coming not for the only the conversation, we are also going for exchange of internet. So I have to send an email, I have to upload a resume on some site like Naukri.com and all those kinds of stuff. Just started at that time. I think those were the initial portals of those job portals. Or you had to download some code or documentation, or you want to read some documents, you have to, there was no other way. So either you had to go to your friend who has that internet connection, they have the phone, and then they are also having the dial up working, and then you have to keep on continuously doing that. So it was a real pain till I think when we got the first change which happened is was the revolution came into two sides simultaneously, I can say. One was the fiber optic revolution, which increased the bandwidth
Yeah.
usage, and then the connectivity started increasing. We came into the broadband era from dial-up, and then the parallel was that we got us into that smartphone 2G era. Though it was not that good, but at least you could send an SMS or message, and it was somehow allowed in our area, and that to only one service provider, BSNL, I think that we had. And also it was not easy to afford a phone at that time. So I think we had a common phone, and there were not much towers. Like the place where like you were living, I think there was only tower was in that your area. We will keep the phone. If we had to communicate to someone outside world for some communication, we had to keep that in the network, that phone, if we are giving it for communication. So I think that phone was with you because you were living near the tower.
Yeah.
And at my place, before 2 kilometers, that network goes down and there is no
Yeah.
network over there. So so those are the interesting conversations. I think we can recall and find
Right.
out.
A lot of these kind of conversations, a lot of people at our age or our generation will relate,
Yeah,
but current generation may not understand this. It will be kind of a grandfather stories kind of stuff for them.
it will be for them. So that's okay. I like even for their generations next to them. Their age will be folklore for them. But the good thing is, which I think from this podcast series, what we want to do is we are actually, my idea is that whatever we have faced, we should document it and we should share it with each other,
Right.
first of all, and then all the audiences who are interested in listening to our conversations, they can relate to it, relive those moments, and feel satisfied whatever we have done. That's the whole concept of soft reboots. That means we are literally rebooting ourselves, pausing for some time, going back into that retrospective era, finding out what was it like over there, how is it now, give those kind of experience, those conversations into the wider audience. Like the new generation, if they listens to us, and they will laugh at us. Okay, they get a mobile phone or iPad or everything out of the context, and they think that everything is working. We have a Wi-Fi these days, 5 gig Wi-Fi routers running here and there. We have mesh networks. Wherever we go, we have internet. The dependency also is something we will talk about, the addiction and the change in the thought process, as well as the societal adoption. So I
Right.
think we can relate ourselves, we can give our examples that will better give them the perspective of it. I was recently looking at some of the programs. Someone in US has started a digital de-addiction program. So they take those people who are addicted to the internet, social
Right.
media, and all those games these days. They take them to an island and make them work physically with the sand, no internet, no mobile, no digital world over there. So why is that need for that? Why people prefer that? Why parents look for those kind of programs these days? I think we should throw some light on those aspects also, because we have experienced those things, all the three eras. We will be able to relate to them and simplify it for our audience. That's my whole purpose.
Exactly. I think with that, probably we would, like you mentioned, we would have upcoming episodes. We'll talk about our life journey experience. We'll bring in some topics that we can discuss about. We'll also bring the audience who has certain experience in certain fields, be it medicine or IT or cybersecurity or mental health or whatever are different topics that we will identify. and we'll bring in the people to talk about those things, but also to talk about everyone's personal journey. Everybody who will come here will talk about his own journey and own experiences and his own story. And every story has something to say.
Correct. I agree on that because I believe that everyone has a different perspective of rights and wrongs, and
Exactly.
they have different experiences. It's all about that experience. I think we should focus on experience brings in that perspective for you to evaluate yourself on certain parameters. If I would have been in that place, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
Or if in a situation which I handled before 10 years, or before the pre-internet or the post-internet era, or during the school time or the college time, if I go back and I want to change things, what could I have done better? Can I do it now? How does it impact my future life? How does it impact future generations, my children, and all those how does it impact my life overall? I think those are very thought-provoking conversations we should have. We should bring in all our esteemed guests. I think we are planning, as rightly you mentioned, that we have a very rich list of achievers, go-getters, and the positive attitude for people whom we had been influenced with or who we have worked with side by side, lived with those people like over a period of time. So those perspectives are very important to bring in. What are they doing now? How did they manage to reach to those places and achieve whatever they have achieved in their life? So everyone achieves. I believe that every day everyone achieves something in their life, be it, let's say, reading a one PDF page or consuming a tweet or a Facebook post or going to LinkedIn and reading out a particular article or reading a book, whatever the way you are consuming information, even the personal experiences are information. So
Yeah.
whatever you do is an information. So that is what I think should be our focus and would be our focus. And that's what we have
Yeah.
decided. And I think Faisal will
Yeah.
agree that that is the whole purpose of calling it a soft reboot, because we will bring those powerful stories and share those with the wider audience of us. They can approach us and give us
Yeah.
their perspectives. We are open with open mind. There is no special format, I can say, in terms of what we are doing. It's an open conversation, heart to heart conversation,
Yeah.
and being what you are, explaining and sharing your experiences. The first and fundamental thing is that you want to bring yourself in the open, share your experiences. If you're ready with that, I think this forum is for that particular approach.
Yes. With that, I think thank you for being with us here on the day one. And
Correct.
we are gonna got some amazing stories coming your way. Hopefully next week we will have uh, another episode coming up.
Yeah, we'll be talking about all the struggles we have had, and we'll talk about in terms of like what dreams we chased, whether we were successful, what did we have, what did we lose, what did we gain. We'll throw some lights on those areas, and how did we make peace with certain things which we had dreamt of, we were that were not good for us in that, but we were chasing, but finally we realized they were not good for us or they were not meant for us. So all those kind of conversations will follow up in the next episode, and as rightly said by Faisal. So we will be definitely looking at it.
All right. And with that, I didn't thank you. And do join us for future conversations, and do subscribe, and we value your feedback as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is Soft Reboot. Bye bye.